This is LibreQuest. My name is Matt. It is the 6th of November 2019, and the first article that I have today is from gamingonlinux.com. This article was posted on the 6th of November 2019 by Liam Daw. The FOSS rendering engine Ogre is being ported to Vulkan. Some fun news for game developers and the Vulkan ecosystem, as another FOSS rendering engine is being ported over to Vulkan. So that is cool. Another engine being ported to Vulkan. And the next article is from Softpedia News. This is posted by Marius Nestor. And I read a lot of articles from Marius Nestor. It's from November the 6th, 2019. That's today. Is this Neth server? I guess it's Neth server 7.7 Cockpit Edition Linux OS arrives with Nextcloud 17 UI changes. And it says here, Neth server Alessio Fattorini, Alessio Fattorini informed Softpedia today the general availability of the Cockpit edition of Neth Server 7.7 server-oriented Linux-based operating system. Neth Server 7.7, which is based on CentOS Linux 7.7, ships with the Cockpit software, which is now complete and available by default on new installations, making server administration easier with a modern redesign and user-friendly web UI, as well as improved usability and new features. So that's cool. If you want to have a UI instead of just tinkering around in your terminal. All right, this is the historical article for today from CNN. This was posted in 1998. Today, in 1998, this article is written by Bob Trott. It says, the title is Microsoft Pondering Legal Challenge to Linux. A second internal Microsoft memo on the threat Linux poses to Windows NT calls the operating system a best-of-breed Unix and wonders aloud if the open-source operating system's momentum could be slowed in the courts. As with the first Halloween document, the memo written by product manager Vinod Valapillil. Oh my, I'm going to mess this up. Let me try this again. This product manager Vinod Valapillil and another Microsoft employee, Josh Cohen, was obtained by Linux developer Eric Raymond and posted on the internet. This is a very cool article, and as always, I'm going to link these articles wherever I post this episode, and that's going to be archive.org, that's going to be on YouTube, and it'll be, both of those will be over on LibreQuest.org. So today, what I wanted to talk about, I think I wanted to go over a few more terminal commands. I'm thinking I might just do some terminal commands every once in a while on the podcast. You know what? I'll just skip that for tonight. I'll save that. I'll save that for another time. What I'm actually going to talk about is the system that I'm using to do the podcast today, and that is the HP Stream 14. And before I say anything else, I absolutely cannot recommend this machine. It is the music that brought in the podcast today I did on this machine, and it struggled so much with it that I had to render it in order to listen to it. So it made that very difficult to do. But I did test everything on this machine, and I tried MX Linux. That didn't work too well for whatever reason, and and I tried MX Linux. Didn't work too well. Let's see, what else did I try on here? I think I tried Debian 10. That didn't work so well on here either. I did not try Arch, but I considered it. But Ubuntu Studio just seems to always work for whatever reason. So I installed Ubuntu Studio on here. The majority of the machines that I have are actually running Ubuntu Studio. So the reason that I went and picked this up is I was thinking, I wonder what the best budget laptops are that are out right now. That's something that if you needed a machine like a replacement, like maybe you were in a bind and you had to have a replacement computer, what is the cheapest, like most affordable system that's out there right now that you could go and pick up and install Linux on? And so I actually went over to the local Walmart, and this has been maybe a week and a half or so ago, and I was looking at the cheapest ones they had, and this was the cheapest system that I could find that wasn't a Chromebook, because Chromebooks I can't remember what is the name of that. There's a project that's out there where you can install Linux on a Chromebook, and I cannot remember what it's called. But let me actually look that up. I'm not going to look it up though. But there's a project for Chromebooks where you can install Linux, and I can't remember what it's called. But this one is not based on ARM. It is actually a Celeron processor. So let me pull up the information about the system real quick. It has it has 4 gigabytes of DDR3L, the low-powered RAM. It also has a 32 gigabyte storage, but that is MMC storage, or what do they call that? NAND, perhaps? I can't remember exactly what kind of storage that's called. Let's see here. Oh, it's eMMC storage. The specs the stickers are still on the system. I could just read it. So it has Intel Celeron processor N3060, 4 gigabytes DDR3 low power system memory, and it has a 14-inch diagonal HD display. And so when it says it's 1366 by 768, of course, in order to do the podcast on this today, I had to scale the resolution down, and in order to do that, and the resolution it's running at right now, is it running at 1366 by 768? I guess it is. I thought I had scaled it down, but either way, it just it's not a very powerful system. It's really not the easiest system to use, but I thought, you know what, if this would be good if you just needed a system and you had to have one. Maybe your main system has died and you need to get some work done, and you just had to go to your nearest electronics store, depending on where you live, whatever that electronics store would be, and you need to pick something up that was just cheap, like a throwaway machine. This would be acceptable for that purpose. Or maybe if you don't have much of a budget, maybe you're a student, or maybe you're not in college, but maybe you're in school, like grade school, then this might be a machine. Okay, yes, I do have a scale. For some reason, Xrandr is telling me I've got it at 1366 by 768 for whatever reason, but I actually have the resolution set to 1024 by 576. Because I actually tried recording at 1366 by 768, and it just hung up on me. It just would not work at all. So I'm using a simple screen recorder to do the video side of things today, and GUVC View to do the webcam side of things. So I'm using the webcam that's on the system. I'm using the built-in microphone that's on the system. It doesn't sound that great. Like I said, I was able to use LMMS to make some music on it. So what I tested on the machine is, and this is important, there's an issue with the trackpad. It doesn't always work. It likes to hang up for some reason, but I did see online that there is a BIOS update for this machine that is supposed to fix that issue with the trackpad and have it actually function properly, which I've not actually done on this machine yet. So clearly I've tested the webcam and the built-in microphone. I've also tested the headphone jack, and that is working. The USB 2.0, 3.0, and it's USB 2.0 and 3.1. I've tested those. I tested the HDMI out. Those are working, and I've also tested the SD card reader, and that's working as well. Suspend also works on the machine, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But no, so the price of this machine, if you go to Amazon, it's around $170, and if you go to Walmart's website, it's about $190. Now that's just the two sites that I checked, and now I did not pay that for this machine. I bought this used because I don't like to spend a lot of money. I actually won this on an eBay auction, and I got it for way less than $100. So if you're looking to buy a used machine, I certainly wouldn't get this one. It's very low power, but if you I've had a situation before. Actually, the Acer Aspire 1 that my oldest daughter uses, I bought that because I had to have a machine. I didn't have a machine at the time, and I just went and picked one up. And this was in 2012. And so I was thinking, in that kind of situation, when you can just walk into a store and buy something, and I thought, I'm going to pick one up, just see if I can get Linux installed on it. And if I can't, then I'll probably just sell it or whatever, or not give up until I actually get it installed, because that's pretty much how I do things. But anyway, yeah, you know what? Let's do some Linux. Let's do some commands, because when I did the last episode, I think I started off with the who command, and that will show you who's logged into the system. But it's actually the who am I command will show you who you are, who you're currently logged in as. And I've noticed in my podcast I make a lot. I misspeak all the time, and nobody's corrected me yet. But I do that all the time, and it's just like I listen back to the podcast. I'm like, what did I say? Like I said, Mandriva 2012.2 when I should have said 2010.2. These things probably don't matter to anybody else, but when I hear myself misspeak, I'm like, why did I say that? But anyway, yeah. So the who am I command will show you what user you're logged in as. And if we look at the man page, it says print effective user ID. So yeah, that's just going to show you your user ID. And then I wanted to talk about the move command. Now this is the same as in I believe in DOS. It's just MV. It's MV is the move command, and if you go to the man page for MV, it will tell you that you can either move or rename files, because if you're in the command line in Linux and you want to rename a file, you just type MV file name, and then you type the new file name. And even if you're not moving the file and you're going to leave it in the same directory, it will still rename the file and delete the original. Now, if I'm working with a file that has an especially long name, let me go over here to my downloads directory. I have a Docky. I have a Docky deb. I tried out Black Box with Docky on this system just because it's very low resource intensive stuff. Black Box is a good window manager for low resource, but so I installed Docky as well and tried that. But anyway, I have this file here. So usually what I'll do is I'll do a copy command that's just CP. And if we look at the manual for CP, it says copy files and directories. So you can actually copy entire directories and move those, or copy those. If you want to move them, you can use the move command. There's all kinds of options here. Really good options for copy. But what I usually do is I'll copy the file if it's an especially long name, and I'll copy it to something simple. If I'm working with that file, or if I'm moving it between a bunch of systems, it's just easier to work with a shorter file name, and then I'll preserve the original, and I'll delete the copy when I'm done. So I don't actually use the renaming capabilities of the move command very often, but those just a couple. I did want to say my very very favorite command for the Linux terminal is eject CD-ROM. Now, if there were a CD-ROM on this system, it would actually eject that. In fact, you know what? I have a USB. I have a USB drive right here. I'm going to plug that in so you can hear it eject. All right, let's let the system recognize that real quick, and then I'm going to just. Oh, and another thing, if you're in the terminal and you've typed a command, you can hit the up arrow, and that will bring up your last command. And if you continue to hit up, that will continue to show you what commands you previously had typed in. Also, you can type history, and history will show you a list of everything that you've typed in as well. Okay, so I'm going to try eject CD-ROM again. And there it is. It ejected the CD-ROM. I'm not even sure what I have in here. I've got a burnable disk. I don't think I'd even burn anything on here. But anyway, yeah, that's my absolute favorite. And that actually, my friend Mike, that I showed him that one time in like 2008, and he was so impressed that he told his mother about it, and she actually bought an Ubuntu Dell machine when they were selling Dell desktop machines. And if you remember, I don't know if you were around in the Linux world at this time. But in 2007, they did this whole voting thing, and everybody went and voted and told Dell they wanted them to sell Ubuntu, to sell Linux on their desktop systems, and so they did for a while there as like a desktop option. But anywho, I think that's going to do it for today. I just want to cover a few more commands. I was actually thinking about those, and I just made a mental note that I wanted to talk about those at some point, so I just figured just throw it in here today. All right, so I guess that's it for the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And let me pull up that. I'm going to pull up that song again and end the show with it. So let's see here. I made that with. Okay, I called that stream.wave. So here we go. I'll go ahead and play that to end the show. And thank you again for listening. You can get this show over on YouTube, archive.org, and at LibreQuest.org. I think the sound's actually going to my headphones. Let me see if this fixes it.